All right, everybody. It's time to invite a superstar here to the set. This is my good friend Kathy Taylor. I met her as one of the patients at True North, which is where I am the chef. And she's come in a bunch of times. And what I noticed that every time I saw her, there was less and less and less and less of her. So she's here to share with us her story. And as well as, some solutions for if you'd like to partake in this sort of a health journey. There are some things that are very helpful to do, such as setting up surrounding yourself with the right people. And that is what Kathy's message is going to be here for you. So I'm going to get out of the way now and let the star here do this show. So thank you for being here, by the way.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. So.
My honor.
All right.
Awesome. How I lost over 200 pounds during COVID is September, October of part of November of 2019. I came to True North for the first time, and over the past 2 years, I've lost more than 200 pounds and was asked to give a presentation on, how did you do it? And my first initial thought was, well, it was easy. But as I look back over it, there were a lot of things that I put in place, habits that I put in place, and people that I collected, I guess you could say, that allowed me to have the strength to keep going when in the past I have stopped making progress. This was me about 2 years ago, and this is me now. A whole plant food lifestyle can work miracles. I've tried every diet under the sun and have lost weight many times. Obese people do not lack willpower. I've lost 100 pounds 3 times. It's what do I do after I lose the weight? And that's the key here. In the Rocky movies, he said, if I can change and you can change, everybody could change. I remember when I was 13 years old thinking, oh, you're just going to go to hell because you make the same mistakes over and over again. And you just don't move forward. I've been successful in my life in other areas. It's just in the weight loss and the weight maintenance, keeping the weight off, I failed and failed and failed. My parents are overweight. My brothers are overweight. Is it heredity or is it environment? Is it habit or is what is in the mix here? My brothers and I, as you can see from this picture, all love our food, but we love the wrong food. I had lap band surgery. My brother Chip in the white shirt has had lap band surgery. My brother Mike with the orange tie had gastric bypass surgery. And we've all had complications from it, but we've all gained the weight back after having these surgeries. So surgery was not the answer for us. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So I heard you can change, and for some reason this time it clicked. My brother Chip and I, 30 years ago, went to a fat farm in southern Utah, and we lost a lot of weight, learned how to exercise, but we went back home and had the same lifestyle again. I heard about this Dr. John McDougall and the effects of a plant-based diet, but it didn't register with me that I could actually do that. It just seemed too strange and too bizarre. At Red Mountain, it was called National Institute of Fitness at the time, and I went back several times because I could lose weight there. And it was fun. We could exercise, hike in the Red Rocks. I talked to them, the management, into letting me come and teach watercolor painting. So I took a year's sabbatical leave from my school teaching and went down there for a year, lived there and ate there and got massages and went on the hikes and lost 100 pounds that year. I went back home, gained that all back and more. But if I fail, I try again and again and again. I went to the doctor and thought, okay, what am I going to try? I will try weight loss surgery this time, because the doctors didn't say change your lifestyle. They just offered pills and surgery and packaged foods that you could eat. So I opted for lap band surgery. It was $20,000 to put it in because insurance doesn't pay for it. They consider it elective surgery. I lost 30 pounds and then stopped losing weight. That's an expensive 30 pounds right there. And for 3 years, I couldn't eat real food, solid food. I would either have to blend everything up and have baby food, or I learned to drink my calories. I gained back that 30 pounds and 90 more. And then it exploded inside of me. I call it the year of the explosion. It broke into pieces. I got peritonitis, died on the table, was in the hospital for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I am not a fan of bariatric surgery. I lost my health, I lost my career, I lost the savings because that took $100,000 to pay for that one. I'm still paying for that. But the biggest thing is I lost hope because I had nothing left after that. I spent the next couple of years in a real deep funk, and it took a while to get through that. I was never really crippled. I was in a wheelchair, but I was never really crippled until I lost hope. I even stopped dreaming, not just having hopes, but I stopped physically dreaming. For 9 straight months after all of this surgery and healing, I had diarrhea for 9 months and went to a gastroenterologist who never asked me what I was eating. Well, I was eating comfort food, fast foods, greasy, salty, whatever kind of fried anything that I could get my hands on, lots of macaroni and cheese, lots of butter, but he never asked me what I was eating. Lots of pills. He offered surgery, powders, potions, all kinds of just very invasive tests. But one thing he did do, Dr. Dickinson scooted his chair right up next to me and said, "Kathy, you are beautiful and charming at 415 pounds, and you deserve a better quality of life than this." And he said, "I'm a crusty SOB and I never do this, but I want you to come in every Tuesday. I'm going to give you a high five and a hug, and I'm going to put you on a paleo diet, and you are going to lose weight, and we're going to cheer you on. My nurse is going to weigh you." I thought, no doctor has ever given me anything more than a paper prescription. And this guy saw me, recognized me, and was willing to be my advocate. Something clicked in my head at that point, and I thought, okay, I've got to try again. Don't you give up. Don't you quit. You keep walking. You keep trying. There is help and happiness ahead. It will be all right in the end. Trust God and believe in good things to come, by Elder Jeffrey Holland. That one registered with me, and I was willing to try again. That same year, I watched a show called Extreme Weight Loss, and a young man in my town, Bruce Pitcher, was on that show, and he had lost 200 pounds, and I thought, if Bruce can do it, maybe I can too. So I called University of Colorado Medical School is where they were filming this show, and they offered a destination boot camp with a week-long boot camp with the people that ran the Extreme Weight Loss program, and then a year's coaching, and I lost another 100 pounds. This was me. I had lost about 50 pounds at this point and was thrilled to death. They encouraged a lot of exercise, so I challenged myself to do 5K races that year, which I did. This was my first one. Had gout, terrible gout, and had to be in a wheelchair, but I never sat down. I pushed the wheelchair the whole time. However, after 5Ks at 380 pounds or whatever at this point, I lost all the arches in my feet. I was so excited about being successful at this program, I called a bunch of my friends, people that I'd met at the pool, in water aerobics, and emailed people that I had friends with that had been interested in weight loss, and people on Facebook that were posting, "Oh, I'm trying to lose weight." Anyway, I contacted them all and said, "Do you want to come to my house and we'll do cooking classes and I'll teach you about this weight loss program?" So I had motivation to teach what I had learned, which worked great for a little while. And then I started going back to my old habits again, started gaining weight, gained all of that 100 pounds back and more. So I couldn't continue teaching because I was back to 415 pounds again. Can you imagine what a loser. I felt like I just was a hypocrite at this point, trying to teach people to lose weight, and I was gaining weight. At that point, there are a lot of problems that come when you are desperately obese, clinically obese, morbidly obese. Some of the damage was humiliation. I was in a size 5X at the time. I had diabetes, high blood pressure, depression, back pain, and knee surgeries, fallen arches, arthritis in different places, acid reflux, gallstones, had my gallbladder removed, sleep apnea, all of this from obesity. All of these are diseases of excess, diseases of affluence, they call them now. Restless leg syndrome, tendonitis, bursitis, endometrial cancer, which is also often caused by obesity, varicose veins, skin rashes and breakdown, diarrhea, gastric lap band explosion. That's a lot of money on drugs because all of those are, you have to take medication for them, and the quality of life was going downhill, 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 downhill. My mom died with complications of Alzheimer's, which is cardiovascular heart disease related. My dad died with an aneurysm, and his father died with a stroke. My mom had cancer. Her mother had cancer. All of these things are affected by the standard American diet, and I could just see myself with all of these symptoms and my parents' disabilities. Their life was going down the wrong path and led to just horrible last years of their lives. I didn't want that for myself. So I thought, I've got to do something. I realized I was a food addict. I didn't understand the chemical reasons why the standard American diet was addictive. The sugar, oil, and fat, cheese, very addictive. I just knew that I was out of control, and I checked myself into an addiction recovery program, one of the 12-step programs, which said basically you've got to turn your life over to a higher power. And so, as desperate as I was, I got really good at praying, and I needed any help I could possibly get. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. And how I got the gumption to try again, I don't know. But I consider it a gift from God that I was willing to try again. My nephew and my niece came down to visit me from college, and they said, "Aunt Kathy, watch this movie with us, Forks Over Knives." And hey, I can crank back in a recliner and watch a movie. I love that. So I was willing to watch it. But the science on that, it says, warning, this movie could change your life. It talks about a whole food, plant-based diet and the scientific reasons behind why the food you put in your mouth can either harm you or can heal you. And I thought, if heart disease can be stopped and possibly reversed, which is one of the just deadly scares that my parents gave to me, and if cancer tumors can be stopped from growing by getting rid of the casein from dairy in your diet, I thought, this is a no-brainer. I don't want heart disease. I don't want cancer, and that's where I'm headed. So I thought, I want to learn more about this. So I read Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by Dr. Esselstyn. I read How Not to Die, and now I have read How Not to Diet by Dr. Michael Greger. I read The Starch Solution by Dr. John McDougall, and I listened to the book The China Study by Dr. T. Colin Campbell. And the more science I heard about how impactful a whole food plant-based diet is on your health and the quality of your life, I just wanted more and more and more and more. This is a quote by Dylan Holmes. "I've found that creating a strong base of knowledge is the biggest indicator of success in creating and maintaining a health-promoting diet and lifestyle." for 2 years, I learned and learned and learned and learned about the whole food plant-based diet, and it's not easy. And I would fall off the wagon and go back to my chicken strips and potato salad and, all the things that were comfort foods for me. But then I would feel crummy, and I thought, there's a better way. I was getting information from YouTube videos and from books and from documentaries and all this stuff, and it was kind of swirling around in my head, and I thought, I need a more structured program. So I signed up with Cornell for the Center for Nutritional Studies plant-based nutrition program, and that 6-week course was powerful in helping me to organize all the information about the diet that was eluding me. And then, right before I finished the course, I was diagnosed with cancer. I thought, this can't be. You get that C word, you get that diagnosis, and you ask yourself the question, if I have any life left, what do I want it to look like? And I got very serious about whole food plant-based. I have 5 brothers, and I sent them tickets. They all flew out. We had a family reunion because I thought, if we're going to party, I want to be there. I don't want the party to be at my funeral. I got very serious about how to change my lifestyle, and I was willing to do anything at that point. I read a book shortly after that called The Pleasure Trap by Dr. Douglas Lyle and Dr. Alan Goldhammer. I thought there must be something wrong with me mentally. If I could get information and not carry through with it, if I could lose weight successfully, and there must be something mentally wrong with me if I can't keep the weight off, because I could look around and see people that were normal sized people, and I was just getting bigger and bigger. So it had to be something wrong with me. In this book, it talks about the 3 major motivations that all humans have is to avoid pain at all cost, to seek pleasure, especially pleasurable food, and to conserve energy. I wanted to lose weight, but I didn't want to work hard. I wanted to lose weight, but I didn't want it to be stressful. I wanted to lose weight and keep it off, but I wanted to do the least possible that I could get away with. But in the book, it says that is absolutely natural and normal for human beings to want to live this way. And so I thought, okay, I'm not mentally defective. I can follow this program. But the only person that could change me was me. I had to do it. I couldn't rely on a doctor to cut me open and put stuff in me. That didn't work. I couldn't rely on all the different programs that I had tried. They didn't work. I had to do the changing. And the key was food had to be my medicine. And that concept had never registered with me. When I was a little kid, my brothers put rocks in the gas tank of our neighbor's car. Cars can't function on the wrong fuel. You can't put, low-grade fuel in a Rolls Royce and expect it to work. And this magnificent machine that I had, I was expecting it to work perfectly, and I was putting the poorest quality fuel out there. After making a plan, I realized education had to be the foundation of my success program, but I had to get support from other people. I needed support from habits that would move me forward, and I needed to clean up my environment. My house was full of junk food, and in my living room, it was just recliners and comfy couches and a huge TV, and I needed to move some exercise equipment in as well. But the key to it was a whole food plant-based diet. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we have a health code, just like a lot of religions have a health code throughout the world. But I watched this movie called Discovering the Word of Wisdom, where people who were whole food plant-based were telling how, I had grown up with the concept from the Word of Wisdom that we eat fruits and vegetables in season. We exercise. We don't put things into our bodies that are harmful to us. We eat little or no meat. Well, those are concepts and precepts that were taught, but that was not what I was living. And I thought, The information in a whole food plant-based diet supported everything I'd been taught since I was a little kid. And I thought, ding, this rings true. Time to reinvent yourself. And I really got serious about it this time. Many people think, and I did, that success, once you got on that path, it was easy and you just continued. That is not what happens. Life is messy, and we're going to mess up, and we're going to try again and again and again. So, in the pleasure trap, I read about fasting. And I thought, that is not something that's interesting to me. In my church, we fast once a month for 24 hours, and we donate the money to the poor that we would have spent on the food. And I know that it was supposed to be healthy, but it was torture because you're detoxing from all the caffeine and the fat and the sugar and the oil. And so fasting was really hard for me. However, I had done so much damage to this body that I knew from the research and the videos I got on YouTube and watched every video about fasting that I could find. And True North kept coming up again and again and again. So I thought, okay, I'm willing to change my life, to reinvent myself. So I signed up at True North Health Center, where the nutrition was whole food, plant-based, no salt, no oil, no sugar. And I thought, whoa. Yeah, I see some smiles. You guys have been through that. We had classes on nutrition, on physiology, on mindset, on movement, culinary arts from Chef Bravo. And I felt like I had a really good base of knowledge and information that could carry me forward. Dr. Clapper, there in the videos that they had us watch, Dr. Clapper had a bunch of videos, and he says, it's the food, it's been the food all along, it's the food, because if I go home and go back to the same awful diet that I was doing, then it didn't matter what I learned beforehand. I did go home. After the first one, I lost 50 pounds in 49 days at True North, which was a wonderful kickstart. I also got off high blood pressure medicine. My blood pressure went to normal during that time, and my doctor said I would be on blood pressure medicine the rest of my life, which is not true because your diet affects your blood pressure. I got off diabetic medication. I was no longer diabetic. My A1C was in normal range for the first time in decades. And I actually got off 14 medications at that point and went home and realized it is the food, it is the food, it is the food. And I lost weight, and then I'd gain a little. I'd lose weight, gain a little, lose weight. Life is messy, you're gonna mess up. When I was teaching, I had a sign above my classroom door, I am free to make mistakes because I am learning. That was starting to sink into my head. People would ask me, Kathy, what are you doing to lose weight? And I'd say, I eat lots of fruit, lots of veggies, whole grains, unprocessed food mostly, and more beans. And they say, no, really, what are you doing? That's it. It's simple. Learning how to make it taste good, that was a different ballgame. This is a typical plate. In Dr. McDougall's starch solution, he suggests have 50% of your plate green vegetables or, just not starchy vegetable, and the other half of your plate starchy vegetables like beans or potatoes or rice or pasta. And for me, that worked. I'm a visual person because I knew if I was still hungry after this plate, I could go back for another plate. So, how am I going to be successful? Saturday evening or Sunday, I would sit down with a chart and plot down what I had to do during the week, the appointments and the places I need to be. Then I'd plot out, okay, what do you want to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner each of those days, knowing that, on such and such a night you have a class, so you need to eat something really quickly. This allowed me to write a shopping list because I knew what I was going to eat and I knew when, and I really wanted to stop wasting money because I'd buy all this food and then it would go to science projects in my fridge. I knew I needed to be more responsible with my choices of foods. And then either Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, I would go shopping, bring the stuff home. Every week for the last 2 years, I made a big pot of soup or stew, put it in containers, froze part of it, and ate part of it. I made a big pot of rice and flavored it in different ways and froze part of it and kept part in the fridge to eat. I always made a cheese sauce. Now, I was addicted to cheese, and I knew if I were going to be successful on this, I would have to have something that felt like cheese, even though it wasn't. And there are many cheese sauce recipes out there, and I tried a bunch of them. So I made a big batch of that, kept it in the fridge, and then I would make 2 or 3 salad dressings. Oh, Chef Bravo has fabulous salad dressings in his cookbooks that are so simple and natural. I made a big pot of potatoes, put those in the fridge, and you could make French fries out of those all week, mashed potatoes, all kinds of things. And then I also portioned out my oatmeal. I too love oatmeal, have it almost every day. Oatmeal berries, put in ground flaxseed and some apple pie spice or whatever spice I want to have. And I usually put dry goji berries in there. And then if I am really exotic, I'll put in some fresh berries. But I get myself a good solid week's worth of food that are basics. And then when I drive by the burger place or I drive by the taco place, I think, I've got food at home that tastes fabulous. I don't need to stop here. That is a real difference in a mindset for me. This is my food prep, and then first thing the next morning, I get up and I had to start with my mind right. I don't know about you, but during 2020, with everybody being afraid of the news and everybody being angry on the news and the political situation throughout the world, it just got too much for me. And I knew I had to start every day in a positive way. And so I would start with scripture study and prayer and then writing a little blurb in my gratitude journal. And that helped my mind get set and solid, and then I could move forward from there. Then I would go in and sit at the kitchen table and write down, okay, what appointments do I have for the day? And then on the right side, I would write, what are the things I want to get done today? And I tried to key those in. Then I'd sit down with pencil and write down, okay, what do you plan to eat today? What activity do you plan to have? And to start with, all I could do was water aerobics because my joints hurt so bad. Now I can walk, hike, swim, bike, dance. I can do all kinds of exercise now, but to start with, I had to keep it really basic. But I wrote down what I planned to eat in my starchy veg, in my beans and peas, non-starchy vegetables, fruits, and water. Then I would go through my day and I could erase things if I wanted to, if I got busy and I didn't have time to fix what I was going to fix. But I knew where I was going. It was like a map for the day. And that helped me to not stop at the fast food joints. I changed my formula for success up somewhat. I knew that the whole plant food had to be my number one goal. Then I needed to clean out all the condiments out of my fridge that had salt, oil, and sugar in them. I had to get rid of peanut butter. I love peanut butter and it is healthy for you, but it calls to me in the night. And so I could not have that. It had to go. I gave away so much good food. My friend Nancy said when she started a whole food plant-based diet, she had a giveaway party. She got a big black grocery bag and she just put everything from her cabinets that was in a colorful package that was processed food and all the stuff from her fridge and condiments and stuff that was bad for her. And she just took it to her neighbors and said, if you want any of this, you can have it, otherwise throw it away, because it was already in a garbage bag. I thought that was a great idea. And then I had to build myself a support system. If you're going to build a building, you've got to lay a real solid foundation. The solid foundation is the education about what is a whole food plant-based diet. And then the pillars that you put up around are the whole food plant-based lifestyle. You want a support system, you want good food there, you want a clean environment, and there are lots of things that I put in place that gave me a structure of a life that I could move forward with. I said that it started with daily prayer and scripture study. Keeping a gratitude journal, just even if you just are thankful for one thing, it changes your brain chemistry for the whole day, which I needed. I had planning and meal prep is critical. That's one of those absolute pillars. If you don't plan, you're going to fail. I had to write down what I ate, and I still write down what I eat. If I go for a couple of weeks without doing the food logs, then I get kind of lazy and let things slide, and I can't afford that. I said I went through the fridge and got rid of everything. I ordered a lot of spices. Amazon loves me. I ordered kitchen gadgets that needed. I didn't know how to cook at all. Teaching school from 7:30 in the morning, not getting home until like 7 at night. I didn't have time to cook. I didn't care about cooking. I consequently went out to eat almost every single day. I had to learn how to cook. Thank heavens for Chef Bravo's cooking courses because they were simple enough for me to move from this is how to hold your knife, and this is how you boil water, and this is how you steam in 90 seconds rather than fill an entire pot. Thank you, Chef Bravo. And then I could move along through his courses to get a little bit more complicated as time went by. That was part of my environmental overhaul. I needed an accountability buddy. I needed somebody to check with, and I asked several different people until I found somebody that was willing. Now I have 2 or 3 accountability buddies because they needed a buddy as well. But I have a friend who calls me every Monday and has called for 2 years to be my, just to check on how I'm doing, what are we doing to move forward. I have since gotten an exercise buddy because it's a lot easier and more fun to walk with somebody else. I got a year's pass at this beautiful Thanksgiving Gardens, and we walk wherever we want to walk, up the canyon, by the river. It's just gorgeous. But I am more likely to exercise if I have a buddy. It just works better for me. I continue to take classes. I continue to read books. I also track my progress with the weight loss charts. I've been doing that every week for the last several years. And I just started taking my measurements. After losing more than 200 pounds, I was able to get insurance to pay for skin reduction surgery. And that has been a tremendous blessing for me because I don't feel like a freak. Losing weight and being a normal size is freeing. Some of the resources that have been tremendously helpful to me are Chef Bravo's cooking courses. True North Health TV has a Roku channel with lots of movies from different doctors, and Dr. Varesh is on there, and lots of different doctors. Teleconferencing with the doctors at True North is a reasonable rate, and I've done that. Other experts as well. There are educational conferences available all the time online, especially now that Zoom, so many different doctors and specialists and experts in the field of health and nutrition are putting on webinars and podcasts and all kinds of things. Facebook groups are helpful. I have a book club that one of my True North friends set up. Sia from Greece set it up, and so people from all over the world meet every week to read and discuss books that are health promoting, and tons of YouTube videos. If you haven't watched nutritionfacts.org with Dr. Michael Greger, he has like 5-minute videos on every nutrition concept you could ever ask for. This is not a diet. People ask me, what diet am I on? It is a complete lifestyle change. We need support, and now you're part of my support system because you're my friends. You are interested in health, you're interested in moving forward, so we support each other. When I was at True North, the first time I met with a psychologist, Heidi Crockett, who was very powerful for me. She suggested that in my mind, I picture a circle of support, people that I could count on, people who loved me, people who wanted to help me move forward. And she said, you need to write it down. So my circle of strength includes God, my extended family, my neighbors, my church. 4 of my friends from True North have met on Zoom every week for the last at least year and a half. My accountability buddies, and I got on Google and wrote, Whole Food Plant-Based Doctors Utah, and I found a doctor that I have signed up with. If you go to True North or any facility that is health promoting, you will find like-minded friends there. And it is helpful to continue to be in contact with them. And you can do that through WhatsApp groups. You can do it on Zoom calls, emails, texts, phone calls, book clubs. My friend Sia has a website that's 6D Living that promotes healthy living. Now, if you're really lucky and you're Chef AJ, then you take a chef with you on vacation. The rest of us have to read Chef Bravo's books, his cookbooks, and his cooking courses, and get yourself set up for success that way. I have a favorite vegetable soup that I like to make, and I am still watching YouTube videos on cooking courses. Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is a fabulous, easy one. Chef AJ puts out wonderful content every week. I don't know how she does it. Plentiful Kiki is a young mom who has fabulous, easy recipes that I enjoy. Dylan Holmes on Well Your World, bless his heart, he is putting out salt, oil, and sugar-free dressings and all kinds of stuff that helps people like me who aren't always good about making recipes on a regular basis. And Crocs in the Kitchen, a couple that has lost over 300 pounds together. I have a list of my favorite whole food plant-based websites that you will be able to access as a PDF through this program, and other charts and graphs that you're welcome to use if they're helpful for you. Wonderful. My friend Sia, bless her heart, set up the book club, and we have Merlene's in London and Sia's in Greece. They got together, and now we're organizing a group of friends to go meet Sia in Greece in the spring, and it's fun. Well, Gutsy Woman, we were reading Dr. Colin Campbell's book Whole, and Sia said, well, I'm just going to invite him to join our book club. And she emailed him, and he said yes. So he showed up in our book club. His daughter also showed up in our book club, and tremendous, tremendous help for us. In the book club, we read Power Foods for the Brain by Dr. Neil Barnard, and I recommend that book to anyone because there are foods that we can take into our body that help to boost our brain power and to eliminate a lot of things, especially heavy metals, that will decrease our brain power. One of the books that we just finished reading in book club is called Fiber Fuel by Will Bulsiewicz. And he talks about eating a variety of food, eating a rainbow of food every day to help boost our immune system and our gut microbiome. And so he encourages us to eat at least 30 different plants every week. And at first that sounded like impossible. But I made a list of starchy grains and starchy vegetables, fruits, beans, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to track how many I eat. I eat more than 30 a week, and a little chart like this is fun to help me say, oh, I could add greens to that, I could add beans to that, I could add this vegetable, I could add that fruit. And it's become kind of a fun game at this point. Only I can change my life. No one can do it for me. This was my family. We always met at restaurants to celebrate anything. Now we meet for activities. My brother Chip on the left called me, I don't know, in January and said, Kathy, what are you doing? To lose weight. I've got to do something. My blood pressure's 200 over 100. I'm on 2 medications. I'm having heart palpitations. My wife says she'll leave me if I don't do something about my health. Please help me. So he started, I think New Year's, eating whole food plant-based. And we were fortunate enough to get an opening at True North, and he and I came in April to do a fast together and became part of some research studies through True North and the Mayo Clinic. Chip, at this point, I've lost over 200 pounds. I couldn't force him to do anything. I had to wait until he was ready. You cannot force someone to hear a message they are not ready to receive, but we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed. When people ask me what I'm doing, I answer very briefly. I eat fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans. And I love you, you love me, we'll be kind to each other. And I just leave it at that. I lost weight. Now Chip has lost 114 pounds since New Year's, going whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, and sugar-free. He's now, he could hardly walk across campus before. I mean, he was huffing and puffing. Now he's walking 3 and 4 miles a day. He signed up with a gym. He has a new lease on life. He watched me. I didn't preach to him. Eating a whole food, plant-based diet has changed my life, enriched my life. I even started dating again. It's a whole miracle. But you matter. I matter. Don't give up on yourself. You can choose to live in the front row and have a great life, or the third row and just exist. That's all. And that's what most people do, just exist. But my life now is much richer and much more satisfying than it ever was before. And it's the food, it's the food, it's the food. That's what's different than anything I've done in the past. And I know it can work for you as well. Thank you.